Hey, and welcome back to my channel where we're going over every single spoiler for the upcoming Raging Echoes League. Today is spoiler day 7, and boy did Jagex pull a twist on us. So today, Jagex revealed Banker's Note and Total Recall. Yes, Total Recall is going back to being a relic and not just the default thing you unlock. So I'm going to go over Banker's Note really quick and give you a quick analysis. Nothing's changing for Banker's Note, so it's just going to be a reiteration of what the powers and abilities we had last year. Total Recall did get some twists, so I want to go over those. There was also some clarifications provided from Discord, so I want to talk about that. I want to give you my analysis on the new Total Recall and its uses. Specifically, I think there's a really good use case if you're going to choose Wildy as one of your regions. And then lastly, I want to go over what to pick. So let's get right into Banker's Note. So again, nothing's changing from last year. This relic will give you an item called Banker's Note. This will allow you to note and unnote things in your inventory from the noted to the unnoted form at any time. So pretty much you're walking around with like a bank, conversion item all the time. And so you can stack up all the items you want and then note them and then, unstack them whenever you need them, like food in raids, things like that. And you can also customize, like the menu is pretty good and pretty convenient into like, hey, I want to quickly unnote things, which is a really good use case in places like rune crafting. And so that's really nice. And it's just, Jagex really thought through the convenience and like the clickability of Banker's Note. And so, if you watch the trailer video, and I'll link that trailer video below, you can see that like you can just like 2-tap kind of rune crafting. So that's really good. So let's talk about the use cases, right? So let's start from the bottom up, talk about skilling. So I mentioned rune crafting. One thing that's really nice is if you're tired of clicking on the screen, playing RuneScape on mobile is really great because you can just kind of tap, 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 or 2-finger tap, tap, tap for rune crafting, and it's really quick and easy. Really great way to get 99 rune crafting, even the 25 million experience or 50 million, whatever the tasks are this league. Also good for all sorts of processing skills. Fletching, smithing, fire making, right? You can teleport to the center of Varrock, start fire making and just making your fires all the way down, teleport back there, unnote. You don't have to run to the bank every time, things like that. It's like a little bit of a convenience because you're pretty much carrying the bank with you. A common saying that you see on Discord a lot is, you are the bank, right? Same thing with smithing. You don't have to run to the bank to go get a fresh set of bars. You can just keep spamming the bars in your inventory. Same thing with fletching. Also, you can just keep unnoting logs and so on. So the possibilities for skilling are pretty much endless for processing skills. And then the same thing goes for resource gathering skills. If you're cutting a tree, you can note all the logs, and same thing with fish and mining and so on. Right? With Total Recall, you can go to a bank and then come back to the spot. So again, it's a kind of a faster click. You do lose an inventory slot for your stack, but I think in most cases, in probably all cases, it outweighs the loss of that one inventory spot. Now, in addition to that, I think the biggest use case for Banker's Note was the infinite supplies for raids, right? You do it for skilling, you get tons of fish, you've cooked all the fish, you bring all of that noted fish into whatever raid, Fire Cape, Inferno, Coliseum, Echo bosses, and all the other bosses that are instants pretty much. You can bring in infinite supplies. So if you're trying to learn a boss or learn a mechanic, if you remember me from last league, that was a big theme for me, was like, hey, I want to learn it. I didn't actually go Banker's Note. I went Fire Sale, and I'll touch on that, on what to pick this time around. But yeah, Banker's Note with the infinite supplies, you can pretty much cheese kind of any sort of instance activity, right? The one thing to remember is if you're eating, you're not, attacking, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Moving on to Total Recall. So we're going to get that same kind of Crystal of Echoes. So you need to be in a bank to open it. Same thing in Banker's Note. You need to be in a bank to unlock this relic. Last year, this was a Tier 3 relic, so or a Tier 3 unlock, and then Banker's Note was also, I believe, a Tier 3 relic. And so we'll talk about that in a bit. But this time, it'll also reset your HP, prayer, and special attack. And so let's say you're fighting a boss, you go in there, you drop all your specs, the boss hits you a bit, you have to heal. A lot of times player have to teleport to their house, and then they would last recall back to the instance. Now you can pretty much just click the last recall orb, and that will reset that HP, special attack, and prayer that you would normally be resetting in the pool. And so just keep that in mind. That'll be really nice. It doesn't reset your other stats. So let's say your stats are already boosted from fighting the boss. They will kind of stay as is. If they've depleted and you need to repot, you do need to repot. But you can now store the instance permanently. So before, anytime you teleported from one spot to another, it would overwrite your position. Now you have to actively click to choose, but it will store that location indefinitely. Right? Now, there are places where you can't use this, like instances, mini games, quest areas, and so on. So pretty much that's anything that's kind of like an instance thing. You can't cheese things like Sepulcher. So yeah, let's get into some of the Discord clarifications. Total Recall saves your state by activating it until you override it again. So like I said, it keeps that position for as long as you want. You save it as, I don't know, a Varrock. It'll stay and teleport you to Varrock indefinitely. There's no cooldown, and they've also improved, I believe, the animation, so it's faster as well this time around as opposed to last time, and so it's much quicker iterations of it. In addition to that, the stats that are replenished are only the ones that are outlined. And agility courses, I know people were talking on Discord that you could cheese them, that just by going to the last hop of the agility course and then hopping down and repeating that. No, they do require for you to kind of go through the entire course to be tracked for the last step. In addition to that, Sepulcher is also all instanced, even though maybe you can see other players. It is an instance thing, so you can't just cheese and open infinite chests and things like that. In addition to that, we don't actually know whether it'll reset statuses like Poison or Venom. I tried to ask in Discord. I didn't get any clarifications. So if you do know, or if I find out later on, I will definitely put a comment below. It would be really nice that if you're fighting, Zulrah or Vorkath or whatever, to just reset that status. Otherwise, Total Recall seems like a worse version of your house, where like you can teleport to your house, drink from your pool, and it'll reset all of these things, and it'll bring you back. Then you bring yourself back, whereas Total Recall will just maybe reset HP, prayer, and special attack. Again, really nice, but these are some good important clarifications to keep in mind. And also, Total Recall is completely unrestricted in the wilderness level requirements, so that's going to be really nice for those deep, wildy bosses. And so I'm going to talk about that as well. So, setting up for Total Recall looks something like this. You can do this in the wilderness for your wilderness bosses. You can go there with like pretty much no risk. Or if you're going to the God Wars dungeon, you can wear just like, random Zamrock, Bandos, Armadil, Sarah gear, whatever you have, you can just wear it. Get your kill count set up outside the instance, right? And then once you're there, you can teleport to a bank, or save your status, right? If you want to pot up with an angler or with the Saradomin brew to boost your HP, that's a good thing to also do at this point. Save your snapshot in the orb, then teleport to a bank, re-gear your inventory, your equipment and everything, and then teleport back. And that kind of just gets you set up to just do that boss fight over and over again, right? I think the main use cases for this would be great places like the wilderness, so you can bring no risk initially to set up and get everything ready, and then you can just recall there and back. And also if you have some way to like quick telly out or something else, let's say your wilderness, you're not too deep in the wilderness, you can just use this. I think if someone does get a telly block on you, you shouldn't be able to use this. If you know that, definitely leave a comment below for clarification, but just keep that in mind. And it can be used for any like kind of skill that requires a destination. So for rune crafting, I know I went fire sale, so I used the recall orb to kind of teleport back to an altar for like nature runes or law runes or death runes. And you just go to the altar, you click your essences, you teleport to a bank, and then back and forth with Total Recall, going back and forth. Again, it is much slower than the banker's note from that perspective, but it's still doable from that. And the same thing goes for like fishing and wood cutting. You can just teleport back to the Krambwan place, teleport one click to a bank, teleport back, and now you can save your destination. So let's say like, oh, you got a clue, you want to go run around and do a clue. You can do your clue, and then you can just click the orb to go back to the Krambwan spot. You don't have to worry about where you saved your location. So that to me is a pretty nice convenience. I think like if you're skilling and you get a clue, and the clues are going to have I think higher drop rates, hopefully with some other things. If that's the case and you get a clue, you can kind of save that location, and that does make it a nice convenience with the new recall orb. And like I said, it's also great for spamming bosses that need minimal supplies. If you go into Garardor and you can kill him really quickly, you can just reset out back to the original outside of the instance, and then go back into the boss really quick. And ideally, you'll won't be eating any food or using any supplies during that fight, and so you don't have to worry about killing minions. You can kind of just spam garage door, check the loot, get out, go back, rinse and repeat. It's really, really quick for that. I think in the past, because we were guaranteed the recall orb, it was just as quick. It just didn't reset your stats, but you could teleport to your house, and then it would save your location for the boss fight, and then you could use the pool and go back. So again, it's like a minor upgrade from the past, I think. Overall, it is nice that it keeps your boosted HP and your spec back. So I know a lot of people were limited on their pool in their house and getting that ornate pool, and so that is the real win with Total Recall, I think, overall. Now, that said, I think the wildy is really good because the wilderness bosses are not instants. They're just kind of in open areas. And so you can kind of just go there and just keep spamming infinite specs on the boss until you die. Let's say you get Asgarnia, you get the dog sword, you go to the wilderness, and you just kind of spam the hell out of any bosses. And the god sword, will heal you as well. So you can kind of don't have to worry about eating food or anything. You can just keep doing that. I think that's super powerful. And you can pretty much farm every single wilderness boss this way. And that includes the King Black Dragon, which will drop the Echo Orb to then farm the King Black Dragon Echo variant. Now, I don't know how we're going to enter the King Black Dragon Echo area. That part is a little bit still unknown. If we're going to have to pull the lever, that is still the wilderness part area. So maybe PKers will be lurking there and attacking you. Remember, if they get Total Recall, they can just save that spot right at the lever and just recall there and just keep spamming and killing you, which is really unfortunate. So don't be toxic. Let's not try to do that to too many people. It might be fun once in a while to mess with people. Remember, we are all Iron Men, so we cannot take loot drops from other people. But it is something you can expect to potentially happen in the wilderness. But yeah, so that said, we don't know how the Echo boss and how the entrance for that is going to be. All Echo bosses are instants, but you can reset to the outside part of the instance. King Black Dragon, for example, doesn't actually, you don't take a lot of damage. They can pretty much do like a no food kill. And so this is one of the good bosses where you can kind of just perma recall and reset and keep fighting the King Black Dragon over and over again. So that's pretty good. In addition to that, also in the wilderness is Corp. And so now you can just keep spamming recall at Corp and just keep spamming Thunder Kopash specs. Again, really new powerful Echo boss weapon from King Black Dragon, which then can be used to farm Corp. And so I think Total Recall, if you're going wildy, is a very powerful combination to have as a choice. So we've talked about, both things. Let's talk about what to pick, right? Comparing back to Trailblaze Reloaded. So I went Fire Sale. This was a tier 3 relic. And my reason for going Fire Sale was it was really going to propel me into the end game. It's going to just cut out all my needs for money, resources, supplies, everything. I got, my Onyx early and manufactured my my crafting jewelry early on as well. I got infinite runes and supplies. Overall, it was a really huge boost. Now, Jagex has confirmed that these two are in the same tier choice. We don't actually know officially what tier it is. People have some speculations on Discord. So leave a comment on your guess on what do you think this is going to be. Maybe tier 3, maybe tier 4. This overall seems like a really good end game utility relic, right? As soon as you're getting into raids, into bossing, things like that. So to me, there's a possibility this gets bumped out to tier 4 or tier 5, just because I think Golden God is probably a better option for tier 3. And I think mobility is just too important early on in the game to not have that as a tier 2 relic. Again, these are just speculations, nothing confirmed here yet. But yeah, so that's one thing there. I think bankers know overall infinite supplies, so great for learning. If you remember me, I'm all about learning and growing and improving my skill. And so I think last time choosing Fire Sale was me to get to the end game because I wasn't sure how long I would play. But this time to me, Banker's Note is really about going to give me that utility to kind of learn and grow. It'll also kind of help fix skills like rune crafting and training that, which is going to be really nice. I think Total Recall is if you're an expert at bossing, if you have like a really powerful combination of gear that you're going to go and you just want to spam the boss really, really fast, get a lot of kills. Maybe you're going for pets in leagues for certain bosses. I think Total Recall is definitely really powerful there. If you're going to be choosing Total Wilderness, Total Recall also really powerful for those bosses. But I think because of the limitations in the Echo boss fights, I think Banker's Note is just going to be better, especially for someone like me who's trying to learn how to fight these new Echo bosses, maybe learn how to do Inferno and Colosseum. I'm going to want to benefit from as many, supplies as I can get. That said, remember, if you're eating, you're not attacking, so just keep that in mind. Try to keep your supply usage at a minimum. I know the pro players probably won't need to eat as much, and so maybe Banker's Note isn't necessarily the play for them, even though I still think it's still overall really, really powerful utility. That said, hey, I don't know what I'm going to pick. I'm probably leaning towards Banker's Note. I think overall it's just a really well-rounded tool, and I didn't get to use it last league. Another reason for me to use it this league. I also think that the teleports this time around, especially with the Clue Compass, are really, really buffed. And so maybe there's not so much need for Total Recall. For example, the Barrows chest, right? The Clue Compass has a teleport there. So if you're going to go for Mauritania and you're going to unlock the Clue Compass, then you probably don't necessarily need to quickly recall to the Barrows chest to farm that gear really fast, right? So I think that's a one thing to keep in mind as well. So this is where like your relic decisions and, as we get more reveals and more information from the masteries and stuff, and depending on what sort of combinations and the things you plan on doing will definitely affect your decisions. That said, it's okay to kind of lean towards a current idea today. Anyways, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for listening. If you found this content helpful, definitely smash the like button. If you want to get my daily analysis about all the spoilers coming up, definitely give subscribe to my notifications. And any other ideas or clarifications that you find on Discord or ideas you come up with, definitely leave some comments below. I definitely want to learn from you all and from the community. So thank you for watching.